Whether you feel like you're ready or not, the tests to your faith are meant to show you where you are. So some people might be overly confident, thinking that nothing will shake their faith, but you don't really know until you go through a test. And you would have probably already judged in your head, oh, I will never be like that person who walked away from the faith. I will never do that and walk away from my marriage. I will never, until you go through it. And when you're in it, the judgments seem to go away pretty fast, right? Because it's a lot harder than it seems. But for some of you guys, you might feel this insecurity thinking, oh, I'm never going to be ready. I never can do it. Oh, I don't have enough faith. I don't have enough faith. But then you look back in hindsight and you realize somehow God has gotten you through many seasons and tests, and you came out the other side not walking away from the faith. You see, that is the purpose of tests. It doesn't make you. It doesn't break you. It is meant to show you who you are in that moment. And it's a loving thing for a teacher to give you a test. Because if a teacher never gives you a test, you don't really know if you're ready. Is it good for you to make your kids feel overconfident that they're ready to take on the world if they've never been challenged? Like if you say, oh, you fed your kid the whole time, you never made them work for their money, you did everything for them to tie their shoes, did their homework, it's like now you're ready to take on the world, you think that'll be good for them? Right? Every parent here knows that. No. You need your kid to reach that limit of where they're going to fail so that now they know where they're at. Because kids get overconfident. In a lot of ways, that's how we are. We are overconfident in our faith. And we don't really know the barriers to our faith until we hit that barrier through a test. And so here's the 4 tests that James highlights. It's 4 T's. Trials, trust, treasure, and temptations. But I'm going to show you how they're all connected to one another. Trials, in a lot of ways, is the most important test. Because based on how you respond to this test, it will inform how you respond to the next test and the following test and the following test. And here's what I mean. The purpose of trials, as we're going to see, we're going to dig in a little closer, they're meant to grow your faith. They're meant to show you where you are deficient in your faith, and then it's meant to grow you and to expand you so that you will fill the gaps that are in your faith. Now, if you don't endure trials, the reason why you don't endure trials the right way, or you respond to the trials negatively, or that trial causes you to sin, is because of the second test. It reveals, when you fail the test of trials, what it reveals is that you're failing the test of trust. Because instead of trusting God's wisdom to get you through these trials, what do people often do? Figure it out themselves. Well, if I'm sick, I just got to work out more. If my marriage is kind of going to shambles, we just got to figure it out, right? We'll go to counseling, or we'll do this, right? Oh, the solution is I just got to work more hours. I got to make more money. We got to move around. And that's what we're doing. We're failing the test of trust. Because you're not really depending on God's wisdom. You're depending on your resources, your thinking, your perspective. And when people don't trust in God, you know what the number one competitor to God is in the Bible? It's the third test. It's your money. That's the only idol that Jesus elevated at the level of God in the Bible. He didn't say you cannot worship God and sex, God and drugs, God and alcohol. He said you cannot worship God and whom? Mammon. Wealth. That's what it talks to stuff. This is the number one God people turn to besides God, and that's why they're failing the test of trust. Because instead of trusting in God, instead of waiting on Him, instead of leaning on His wisdom, we run to our treasure, our resources, our money. Right? How many of us think that most of the problems to our lives can be solved with more money? You can say, no, I know money's not the answer, but yet we respond that way, don't we? Oh, I just got to get a promotion. My wife and I need to just make more. Oh, this won't be such a problem if we just had more margins in our budget. And that's the treasure. And the treasure, when you fail the trials test because you're not trusting God, when you're not trusting God, it's because you're trusting in your treasure. And when you chase after your treasure, that test is the test of temptation. And the test of temptation has to do with you are chasing and following your desires instead of God's wisdom. And so all of these 4 tests, really what it's showing you at every step is that if you are failing the test at some point, it's because you're not going to God's wisdom. And that's the point of the test. The point of the test is for you to go to God's wisdom, become mature by God's wisdom, see where you're lacking through God's wisdom, grow by God's wisdom, and to go back to God even more. right? It's the cycle. Like the minute you go away from God, he gives you a trial to make you come back to his wisdom. If the trial doesn't do it, and you're chasing after, you trust in something else, you chase after treasure or temptation, he wants you to get back to him. And so that's what the point of all these tests are for. And here's the thing about tests. Tests are necessary. Tests are necessary for every single one of us. Because in the Christian faith, there is never an end point. You never pass a test and then you're done. Tests are just a preparatory test for the next test, right? I mean, think about like 30 years ago, maybe when you first became a Christian. Think about the biggest trial at the time, 30 or 40 years ago, however long it's been. That probably seemed so big to you at the time, didn't it? Oh my gosh, I'm single. Oh, this trial of loneliness is the worst trial ever. And then you get married. This is even worse. Oh my gosh, what? I should have not, right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, okay, marriage, this is the hardest trial ever. And then you get a kid. And it's like, oh no, this is even worse, right? And then every season, does it get any easier? No. You know why? Because it's not supposed to stop. Every stage of your life is supposed to be a trial, supposed to be a test. Because what is God telling you? You still have room to grow somewhere. If you were perfect, you don't need a test, right? If I gave you a test and you got 100% on it, why do I need to retest you? And so the point of trials, it's God's way of communicating to you. I know you think you're close to 100%, Andrew, but I'm trying to show you you're really far. I know you think you're patient, but wait till I put you in a situation that's going to require a lot more patience than you're capable of. You think you are loving, but let me place some people in your life who are very difficult to love. It's a way to what? Really humble you and realize, I'm not that close to Jesus. Yeah, compared to your friends, you might be quote unquote holy and mature, but compared to Jesus, that gap is still wide. And it's a gracious thing that God gives us tests, because without his tests, all of us would become overly self-confident, arrogant, and deluded. Have you ever met someone that's never suffered? They're very annoying and hard to be around, don't they? Because they think they did it all by themselves. Oh, I just carried myself on my boot. I depended on my booster. Like, have you ever met a person that was born on third base who just boasts about everything that they have in life when it was all given to them? Annoying, right? But that's the same way with us, with our faith sometimes. Sometimes we credit ourselves too much because we're born on third base without realizing you didn't hit that triple to get there. That's grace. The reason why you haven't walk away from the faith is not because you were better than your friend who walked away from the faith. It's by grace. God is the one who's been preserving you, giving you grace after grace after grace. You just need the test to show you how much you really need God.